anything like this. Let them come.
So, I honestly never thought, being a child of the 90s and just seeing how, I'm going to be honest, the Bay Transformers movies didn't give a crap about the fact that people thought Transformers were cool. Michael Bay liked being paid and getting explosions and then making robots urinate on people. So I thought, actually going out of your way to introduce cool versions of Transformers weren't going to really be, on the priorities list. And they weren't for a good long time. So my hopes of seeing my favorite iteration of the Transformers, the Maximals and the Predacons, I thought was never going to happen. Still haven't seen the Predacons yet. Do not understand why you didn't have them in the movie with the Maximals. What are we even waiting for at this point? But the fact that I at least got to see most of the cast, shocked they didn't have Rat Trap, but I guess if you're going to get any of them not in there, it would be Rat Trap. I am excited that we finally got to see them, and I can openly say that I was not disappointed, and I liked what I got from them quite a bit.
Yeah, the Maximals were they delivered.
They did. And okay, so we're gonna have a small discussion about something that I guess I didn't realize it till now, about how you and me have had discussions about this in the past, because you and me watch a lot of things that are animated and actually give a shit about voice actors. Why do you think it is that the only person that they care enough about to give his actual voice is Optimus Prime?
Because that is one of the most recognizable voices in at least the genre of mech robot action cartoons.
I just love it. Any other animated thing, he is the literal only one that they care about. And the only person whose voice acting that they come back talking about from these movies is Optimus's. No one's bragging about Pete Davidson's voice acting skills. And I couldn't even tell you who voiced the other machines without looking it up. Why at this point, if you're going to get Peter Cullen, that you don't get some other people? Because it is known now that even people that are our age that know these things are not going because of who is voicing the damn robots.
I'm just making sure I got the name right. Gary Chalk. That is the guy who is best known for playing Optimus Primal.
Okay, got it. Yes.
And don't get me wrong, Ron Perlman did a great job.
He did. But absolutely.
It would have been nice to see more professional voice actors filling out the cast.
Exactly, because again, adults care that it's Transformers. None of them went to this movie because of who was voicing it. I get that in some other ones, but it's we need to get a little bit more of you're selling it at some points on the IP and not who's in it. I would not have cared more about this movie if, say, they got Scarlett Johansson to voice RC. No one would have. Absolutely no one.
Because it is pretty cool. They got it a pretty big YouTuber to do that voice.
Yeah, and that was cool. It's just that I want someone other than Peter Cullen to get the due for the character that he helped raise. And I'm happy people are getting jobs. It's just that, come on. Let's let someone other than Peter Cullen have a play on the big screen. I'm still legitimately shocked that they let Yuri be in the freaking Spider-Verse movie. I thought he was going to get gypped. They were going to show that suit and never give him a scene. Give or take, he got to say 2 lines, but they still showed him.
There is actually one other professional voice actor in this. John DiMaggio plays Stratosphere.
Which one is Stratosphere again?
He's the plane.
He's the plane. Oh, wow. I guess I didn't even realize that. Oh, he does say his name once. I didn't realize that was DiMaggio. I'm glad then. That makes me happy. Nice. Cool. I like that. Okay, so I thought I was like, because other than Scourge, I don't think they said the other enemy Transformers names once.
They didn't. Scourge is the only one who like has a name spoken other than Unicron, but it's Unicron.
Yeah, it's Unicron. Like, that was the plot of the movie. That blows my mind that they'll set Transformers in that they don't say their names. Are you kidding me? And like, they had Scorponok in the movie. They had one Predacon, but I guess it wasn't even him. It was a mass produced. Anyway, the movie starts out and they had it very much dialed down to basically two human counterparts. I'm very okay in Transformers movies if they only have like two or one. Like Haley and her friend being there, I was cool with. And then, John Cena, the star power, which no one actively talks that much about other than that movie. They talk about Haley and Bumblebee, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still and like I didn't even mind them in this movie. I liked them. But I yearn for the day when we see a full live action Transformers movie that just has Transformers in it. Other than the group that is required to be humans that gets mentioned at the end of this film that got the most genuine reaction out of me that any end credit scene has gotten in probably like 4 years.
We'll get to that, but
We will.
I have two things to say. One, there is kind of no way to make a fully live action Transformers movie because the Transformers are basically all animated.
Well, that what I mean is
I know
the Lion King full live action version is what I mean.
I knew what you meant.
And like you can have humans be there, don't have them be a main character.
Yeah, that was my other point. The problem with humans in these Transformers movies is it was never the humans in and of themselves. It's that the humans that we saw in the Michael Bay movies were annoying, obnoxious, contributed nothing to the overall narrative,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, they cared about kitten calendars. Oh, that's the thing. This might be my favorite Transformers movie they made outside of the first one. The first one had the least Bayism out of all that they had. The further it gets away from Michael Bay directing them, the better they get, shockingly.
Yeah.
And it's like what you said and also it became the humans were the main characters in Transformers movies. They should be the thing that helps maybe drag them from a point that a Transformer couldn't drag them to. Sure, you can have that be the self-insert, whatever. Do you know what happened that made the second TMNT live-action movie that they made recently better?
They put more focus on the turtles.
They did. Megan Fox wasn't the circlet of 70% of the plot. And I didn't even mind Megan Fox in it. But literally, the turtles are in like 30% of the movie. And then they just went out of their way to go, hey, we're going to make this the most TMNT movie we ever could. And then no one cared.
Sadly. My goodness.
Anyway, this movie benefited so greatly from acknowledging the fact that you actually have some cool stuff within the Transformers franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They did a better job with Unicron in this movie than they ever did trying to do it whatever they did with that dumb end credit whatever. And can we start acknowledging that producers and everyone need to stop acting like these films are set in the same place?
I am especially mad at Lorenzo de Bonaventura because he's really the only one who's like trying to be political with his comments, saying like, oh yeah, we're not trying to interfere with what came before. we're being all nice with the timeline. No, fuck that shit. Do your
Correct
own
me-
thing. Go forward.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Unicron in Earth?
Exactly.
Like how? How Unicron is Earth in base Transformers movies? How is this the same thing?
It can't be. It's not.
And also, they've been around for 8 years. In 1996 was this film set?
94.
94. Hey, guess what, people? Did you watch the other Transformers movies? They show Bumblebee helping defeat the Nazis. These can't be the same movies.
Nope. And you really got to stop pretending that they are.
For the love of God. We're like, yeah, but Bumblebees don't talk with the radio. Yes, because this is we've just accepted is Bumblebee now. They even do it in video games and animated series now. They liked it in that movie, so they're just doing it.
That is usually like the easiest answer for any like sort of like character quirks that came from a different media. If the people next in line liked it, they're gonna keep doing it. If they don't, they scrap it.
Exactly. And like, you know what? To a degree, when you had really sincere moments in those in the beginning of those Bay films, some of them were actually pretty okay because he used an inspirational speech to convey what he was doing. Now it's just what was a cool quote that we had Bumblebee talk with. That's just what it is. Like in those Transformers games for like the 360 and PS3, they had Johnny Young Bosch voice him. And then eventually his voice processor just got screwed over. Bring someone back that's just used to voicing B at this point. It's not that big of a deal. But I will tell you, as far as continuity goes, I love that they went, hey, B, I understand one human was nice to you. Thanks. I'm glad we're acknowledging that the Bumblebee movie exists, but barely.
Just enough to throw a bone to the fans.
Yes, where it's like they're keeping the fact that they exist, but they're somehow doing the same thing that the Bay Transformers movies did. After a while, they like soft rebooted themselves every time the movie started. All right, we're getting along with humans and we're on a task force. Next film. The humans have hated us for 30 years and they're hunting us down for weapons. We're going to be at peace now. By the way, that weird space wizard's coming. Just make movies in continuity. How hard is it? You're almost worse than Fox at some points.
Yeah, at this point, it's either commit to continuity or just throw it out completely.
Throw it out. Start over. And this is your best chance. You're starting in the 80s and going to the 90s. Give or take. Nothing has disagreed with itself. I'll give it that. But a decent chunk of people in Bumblebee knew there were Transformers. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, in Bumblebee, didn't like the military kind of agree with the two Starscream knockoffs? They were going after Bumblebee?
and Cena's the only character in the entire franchise to be like, they're Decepticons. It's literally
it's in their name. How are we trusting them? I love every now and then when movies do that, where they're like, that was really dumb. For 4 movies, like obviously it's in back in time, but like, sir, their name's Decepticon. Deception's in the name. But like and like I love how there's not a version of bad Transformers that aren't obvious. They're the villains. Terracons, Predacons. Decepticons. Every name also has con in it.
Yep.
But
so that's how you know they're the bad.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're the bad guys.
You also get Autobots and Maximals. The most like, oh, they're just machines. The kids won't be able to realize that they're villains unless they see. You see them, Timmy. You see on this chart here where this guy wins a fight by shooting him and just letting him go. He's the good guy. We're just gonna. I don't know if you'll be able to figure out that this bad guy has to melt them down, pull parts of their body off of them, and weld them onto themselves as a victory trophy. We don't know if you've established that guy's evil. Come on.
That's why subtlety is for cowards.
Subtlety is for cowards, and it's also the thing where you're like, hey, did you guys realize that Transformers was made in the 80s? I wonder if these naming conventions are a part of that. I can't imagine, Todd. Tell us more. But anyway, on to the actual movie.
Yeah. So the movie after the admittedly awesome opening sequence, which I assume is on Cybertron or just some other planet.
It's so weird. I don't know. Like, I looked at it before, and like, it's been a hot minute since I watched the Beast Wars, but they kind of the big thing is what they introduced with the Maximals is they got sent off to like look for energon rich planets, and this like another places for them to start other than Cybertron. And then it's just they're there, but also the Predacons followed them. And you see, before I forget to mention it, the ship that the Maximals have looks a lot like the ship that they're working on in the room that the end credit scene happens.
Ooh.
Someone pointed that out to me. I'm like, that's identical. They just have some metal ripped off of it. But in the cartoon, they're actually don't realize that they got sent kind of like, I don't remember if it was back in time or they get sent to Earth where the Transformers are because they find the Ark where Optimus Prime is asleep. He just hasn't woken up yet. So when they say the future and all this whatever, I'm like, what are we doing here? But anyway, yeah, it's just a planet that they were on. Like, out of all the Transformers cartoons, I don't remember a part that wasn't just like all machines and like had a forest. Or am I remembering it incorrectly?
It's been a minute since I've seen like a full series.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, they just have. I'm going to assume it was just a planet where they went, and that's where they got their
it's
forms
completely
from.
unnamed, but
yeah. But we get to see Unicron and like the Terracons just like wrecking house and showing that they're meant to be very well taken seriously. And oh yeah, they might be from the future because he gets his name from Optimus. And that's how it was in Beast Wars too. He's shocked that he finds him. But yeah, anyway, it's that they show off and they split the key, which is it looks exactly like it in the Beast. Like they're actually taking good stuff from the cartoons, which is really good. But yeah, and then you get that fight, but not for very long, and then it just smash cuts to Earth. I didn't think we were actually going to get anything off of Earth in this movie.
Oh, you didn't think we'd see Earth at all? Or
no, I thought we were going to get Earth. I didn't think we'd get anything other than Earth.
Oh, right. Yeah. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of what Bumblebee did, where they had like the whole cold open set on Cybertron to establish, everything going on.
To give us a taste of the unbelievably expensive movie we would never get.
That we're actually going to get next year.
Okay, this is where we get the difference between live action animated and animated. When I say unbelievably expensive movie we're not getting that version of Cybertron with realistic animation.
Oh, no, you're absolutely correct.
That's what I mean. Because it'd be too expensive.
Right.
No, anyway, that one I'm looking forward to next year. Very much so.
Anyway, so we get to Earth and we meet our two human protagonists. We got Noah, his brother, his best friend who apparently just really loves Twizzlers.
They can't fully get away from Bayisms. Every character has to have their weird quirk and whatever. Also, the producer of what'd you say that guy's name was? That's just like going out of his way to not fully.
Lorenzo de Bonaventura.
Cool. He produced this film?
Yep.
Was he also the guy that wanted to openly acknowledge one of the people that plays a character in the Bay films is an actor in real life in this version of Transformers? when they mentioned that Marky Mark is leaving the Funky Bunch.
That got one of the biggest laughs in the theater.
I did too. I was like, anyone that tries to say now that these are in the same universe, shut the actual hell up. That was a dig to say that Mark's not going to be in these movies anymore, and B, Marky Mark is Marky Mark.
Okay, there are actually two sort of instances of throwing shade at the Bay films, because once we meet Wheeljack later on, he makes a joke like, "That's racist, bro," and Noah's like, "You're a robot. How's that racist?"
How's that racist? It's just like, yeah, but the assumption, it is weird that the robot has an accent when they learn their languages in other ways. But yeah, I get it where they're always like, they made everyone normal in that first movie, and then Jazz is just black stereotype. Guys, why did we do that to Jazz? Oh, because you're gonna kill him right away? That made it much better. But yeah, and you actually have this guy Noah like trying to be a good person. And I appreciate that, like looking after his brothers, stuff like that. You like went from guy wants to sleep with lady, and then they eventually become boyfriend, girlfriend. And then they go on wacky adventures where you have to see the guy embarrass himself being his boxers every 5 minutes, to where, no, this guy like actually cares about humans and wants to protect them and has like a genuine plot reason to disagree with Optimus kind of being a dink about why he wants to be where he wants to go.
And this is another reason why I like this movie better than, well, I know it's not a high bar to clear, but Optimus, for the first time in the live action movies, has an arc, and it parallels Noah like pretty much to the T.
It does. That was going to be the thing I was going to mention after this. The person they do the dirtiest in every single Bay film is Optimus. He's the most useless character in every one of those movies. He never does anything until the point where he absolutely needs to do something.
He is basically the Goku of the Michael Bay films, where he comes in at the end, rips people to shreds, and then gives a big optimistic speech.
Yes, exactly. And then when he finally has a one-on-one fight with the guy where there's no extra people that drag out these films, because if he had a one-on-one fight originally, he would just kill the person. But anyway, yeah, you actually give some agency to these people, and shockingly, it works better. I will say, what is her name? Elena. She kind of gets the short end of the stick as far as plot goes.
Only a little bit.
But she's the person that they needed to have someone figured out who Airazor is, and then figure out the code. Which, if you're going to have someone, a person studying ancient artifacts is a good idea. But it's like, she has to be the clucky intern at the whatever. I'm like, just have her be a person that's established and a badass. They don't always have to be goofy. That's the weird thing that like can't escape from these live action Transformers films. For 20 minutes each film, there has to be a point where the person's a bumbling idiot. I kind of hate that.
I will say, like, yeah, the fact that she's an intern is the quirky goofiness that this movie could have done without, but
she gets worlds better pretty quick, which is good.
No, not even that. She is actually overqualified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she should be running the show, but the fact is she is just an intern.
She's just an intern that I made a really cool discovery. Cool, here, iron my dress for me. They can become a badass without looking like a dumbass first.
Exactly.
That is the problem a lot. Like, the only one they don't do that with is Haley's character in Bumblebee. Like, she's about the only one that had like a genuine, actual like confidence issue and then got over it.
Yep.
Like, do more than that. That's why I loved Bumblebee so much. But yeah, and then you get to see, I gotta ask, Mike, did you watch the Beast Wars cartoon? Or Beast Machines, which a lot of people didn't like?
It's been a minute, but yeah, Beast Wars is one of those like staples of my childhood.
Okay.
Again, it's been a minute, but I have pretty vivid memories of that show.
Yeah, it's the weird thing, and I try to talk with people where in the movie or in the shows, like they make the people seem like regular size because like they're walking around the whatever, they're next to rhinos and all these other things. They seemed regular size. That also could be like when they're in the ships as a Transformer ship, so it's actually giant. But for the most part, in all the other scenes, they look like they're normal size. I appreciate the hell out of making Airazor, Rhinox, Cheetor, and Optimus Primal fucking huge.
Yes.
That they need to do that? No. But just, it's awesome. Freaking Airazor being the size of a government building when she lands is fantastic. And the animation, whoever is the team behind animating everyone that was a Maximal, like the little bit of like the nose and like everything, like her acting like an actual bird, like her, also her just eyes blinking, everything about the Maximals was done so well.
So the visual effects here were done by the same people who did the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Weta FX.
Oh, get them back. I didn't know that was who did it. I don't pay attention. Like, I don't look in the credits for... I've kind of become that guy that just looks in the credits for the weirdest names possible and then have fun with that while I'm waiting for credits. I didn't look at Weta. That explains so much. My God, bring them back again. Shockingly, a good animation team on a Transformers film helped.
Yeah, before that they were using Industrial Lights and Magic, which they're like, they're good at what they do too. But getting the same team that did the Lord of the Rings, like that's a good get.
It is, and it's one of the things where it's like at the beginning in the Bay films, they very much made the transformations look like porn, which I appreciate. Because you want to see the first time in live action the most intricate transformations of whatever possible. But then after a while, like, they just, in my opinion, kind of just made stuff slam out the other ways to fill out sequences. And it kind of got overcomplicated. Then to the point of where they just formed in a swarm with the enemy stuff. I'm like, we get it, they're a Transformer. We've got past that point. And in this movie, the Transformers for the Maximals that you've seen thousands of times just made it look like they made sense and should work that way. I was like, thank you. That helps a lot. And the ones that looked cool and were kind of like, not even overdone, like they still look normal, but they made look cool at first for the first time, was the Maximals, which is what you should do because they're the new kids.
Something else I really appreciated was they made the Terracons like actually pretty threatening.
Yeah, Scourge looks horrifying. And also, like I said, what I said jokingly about the graph before, like ripping off emblems of dead Transformers, that's pretty awesome.
Not only that, but the little like the spidery crawly things reminds me a lot of the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park when they're hiding in the halls of the museum.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was really good. And I did like you said with the spiders when they're going through the stuff on Ellis Island and like actually making it slightly a horror film for a little bit where they're like trying to like get attention by barely knocking on something. I'm like, that's a good way to use humans in Transformers films. Make the Transformers look unbelievably terrifying. That like you're genuinely scared at points for the humans.
Yes.
I'm never scared for the humans in the old Transformers movies. Why? Because they were giant, well-known blockbuster names. Not saying that these actors weren't good actors. They were very good actors. But they took people that were less well-known to where if one of them died, you wouldn't be shocked. Meaning if the death happens, it's actually going to hit you.
Yep.
Which is how it should be.
Also, this movie just has a lot... It has a lot more heart than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bumblebee felt the most like a very classic Amblin movie from like the 80s. This felt like this kind of felt like a like a 90s, almost like a 90s like disaster movie, but like I think it feels more true to the source material than any other attempt.
It did, absolutely. And I will say, like, the only thing that was weird is I'm okay with it's kind of a rule in RWBY where they have fights when the fights are meant to be had for the plot reason. They don't just stick them in. This movie had fights in it, but a lot of it kind of, I wish there would have been more conclusive, because there was a lot of fights where they just shot at each other and went, "I'll see you in a half an hour," and then kind of went away because they didn't want to kill any of them yet, other than the fight on Ellis Island. Then they had the one on the highway, and I think there was another kind of iffy fight when, like, Airazor gets possessed, which, like, making her rust over and kind of go weird. Like, the heart of actually losing Airazor, like, sucked. Because Airazor was the most, like, delicate and, like, what I want to say, majestic out of almost all of them. She's felt like a guardian that you cared about. They did a lot with Airazor in this movie, and I greatly appreciate it. Like, she's the only one you never got to see transform.
She is, and I think Michelle Yeoh was like the kind of the perfect cast for that character, because she has the most level head out of all of the Autobots and Maximals. She's the one really sort of guiding our heroes in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And it's just you need that person who's going to be that, and it helps dramatically and tremendously to have that level-headed character every now and then, because again, in the Bay films, you never had that. Most of the time it's Optimus, but in a lot of those films, you have Optimus be taken out for long chunks of the film to not be the guy talking the sense.
Mm-hmm.
And here you had those people consistently, and now it turns into Optimus at the end. And getting towards the climax, you start making Optimus realize about, like, their home is where their home is, and then Cybertron is just kind of Cybertron. And getting the actually more of a world adventuring romp for the need of it being a world adventuring romp was kind of nice. And being more in plain sight was kind of good. Like, the actual, other than they're like, "Oh, humans are kind of like whatever, they're more than meets the eye." Heard. It's like, gosh dang it. But yeah, like, showing that the fact that, like, there was just a village where the Maximals were just chilling, like they've helped protect us for hundreds of years. I was just like,
that's nice.
This actually made me happy. Like, that's how you use humans in Transformers films, like that. And it was really great. And then giving them tasks like at the end, where they're the ones that can't fit in these tunnels to sneak around to, like, do the shutdown code for Unicron. That is a perfect use for a human in a Transformers film.
Yep.
And that's how you should use them.
This is why I take issue with people discarding humans altogether in Transformers, because there are instances like this where not only are humans used well, but, like, you need them for certain things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's parts where they're useful. Can you have one fully without them? Yes. Would I like to see it someday? Yes, I would. But I'm not saying it's impossible. Any time where blank title of movie and it's a non-human entity that is known for being the main thing and should be the main thing, and it's 20% of the movie because, well, CGI is expensive and the people are going to care about more of the human emotion. Don't make the movie then. But yeah, like, actually showing the fight be a big deal. And man, I realize he's become kind of the mascot for these movies to this point. I kind of wish Bumblebee would have stayed dead.
See, this is why, while I don't like that Bonaventura is being all, we're not going to disrupt anything that came before. Like I understand why Bumblebee was revived.
I know too, because he becomes a vault, but it just comes to the point where, other than, oh man, he gets killed by a barricade in the third movie. It was the medic. Oh, what's his name? I can't think of it. But like an Ironhide gets shot, and like when they actually have moments where they're like taken advantage of and like just shot in the middle of the street and it's emotional and they're dead, like it's good. It becomes hard to believe in a movie where there's not like 16 Transformers that a Transformer on the good team's gonna die. And you have hundreds of other Transformers you could introduce. I get it when you don't kill Optimus. I understand that.
Except for the one time they did.
Except for the one time they did, and then they, everyone got upset because Rodimus is brah! But anyway, that just became a whole big deal because toys! Anyway, I understand why you don't kill it in these movies. I get that. It's the point where we made earlier where it's like he's the one guy where you actually have his freaking voice actor be his voice actor. But you need to have some moments where like you're okay with killing someone like Bumblebee. Because guess what? They could have Hot Rod come back and not turn him into a joke where we can't understand what he's saying. My name is Hot Rod. Like you can actually make legacy replacements in these movies. Bumblebee had his own standalone film. He got as much as Bumblebee's going to get. Yeah.
Although it's not like nobody on the heroes died. Like Airazor's death was impactful.
It was, but I also don't think in the same film you also had to have a fake out death.
Fair. I'll give you that.
Because it's like death is permanent, guys. JK! Unless it's a character that you've known. When you only kill a character you just introduced in that film, it sucks. Because you're like, we're introducing these people to kill them because our moneymakers are going to stay here. And they got him back. Like when they did the Energon Surge, I'm like, okay, they're going to revive Bumblebee. Also, when you're going to bring him back, you didn't need to have LL Cool J pumping in the background. It kind of makes it a, here's my cool hero moment. Rap's awesome, right? Have some like thematic, awesome, cool music where he's going to go save his friends when most of them are getting slaughtered and near killed. You don't need to have a total mood changer. That felt like Deadpool in the middle of a Transformers movie.
Yeah, hard to disagree.
Like, the scene itself I didn't care about where he was being air-raided and dropped off. That I was fine with. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky, but
I mean, it is kind of the same problem as like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, where rather than using like iconic theme music from the games, they kind of fell back on needle drops. But to this film's credit, at least for the most part, they like the soundtrack was songs from the 90s.
That is
so
true.
There was a little bit of consistency, but I do get that maybe for that scene you could have had I don't even know if Bumblebee had like a recognizable theme in his own film.
I don't even remember, but it's like, even if you're not doing a theme, then make one.
Yeah.
Like make a theme for his return that's like actually operatic or like just like is a cool thing that like, no, I'm coming to help my friends. And then we turn in it like, I don't know. That is one moment that actively took me out. Like I literally pictured the scene in Deadpool where they're jumping out of the plane. Where, correct me if I'm wrong, in the trailer for Deadpool, they used that exact same song.
I don't know
that.
I don't know if it was that song specifically, but it was probably something close.
Anyone in the comments who watched this, I'm pretty damn sure they did that they put "Mama's Gonna Knock You Out" in the trailer. It is, because feel the speakers go boom is when he punches when he punches Cable in the face on the freaking moving. Yeah, it is. And that whole trailer just came through my head. That's why it hit me so much when they did that. I was like, guys, something new, please. But the actual fight itself was great. And it scared me so much that they were never going to have. I thought that, like, when they have Primal and Prime both say roll out, I was like, you're not going to have them say maximize, really? And then they had him say it.
Yep.
When they transformed. That made me happy, because I guess they would have tried to make the Maximals different by just having them stay in animal forms, but I was so happy when they had them, because that was going to be like, man, I need to see it.
They had to do it. Like, that's how you know that the director Stephen Caple Jr. is genuinely a fan of Beast Wars.
Yes, it was great. And getting to see them going around and just see Rhinox and Primal actually acting like more primal beings, just like smashing stuff to shreds, like with a rock, was fantastic. Yep. Actually making them different. And the whole ending scene was fantastic. Like, the code not working because he shot the thing. And, like, again, they always have the one scene in the movie where Optimus gets to go ham on someone, where and they have to wait until the last 10 minutes every time.
It's a rule.
It's a rule where he shoves Scourge in the molten lava that just had to be there because Unicron's evil. And, like, he finally kills him off. And, okay, there's two parts in this movie that, like, a two-part thing that I kind of had an issue with that they quickly resolved, and I hope they don't do again. I kind of didn't like that they had Noah wear Mirage.
It does look a bit janky, but I think the reason I didn't mind is because I liked the character as, like, if I didn't like the character, then I would be more annoyed about it. But
no, I like it, but then it kind of goes back to the human being has to have a cool moment thing.
Oh,
that's part of the reason where I was like, I like Noah. I really do. And if they continue this movie how it's going to go, I'm really going to like Noah. And that moment where he transformed, after a while, I got over it. Because, again, eventually, he fixes Mirage and brings him back to being Mirage. That made me happy, because afterwards it then turned into they had a bond. I was okay with that. But the part that bugged me...
Keep talking. I'm gonna find a picture of what Mirage looks like in the cartoons.
Okay. But the thing that bugged me more than that, and I got over it because they fixed it rather quickly, was when Prime was getting pulled into the supernova, you had Noah in the suit holding back a probably 5 to 6 ton robot just with no effort when he was having trouble fighting Scourge and lifting things in that suit.
Okay, yeah, that's something that probably should have been addressed.
They should have been addressed. And you know how it should have been addressed? By having the other character that comes in 2 seconds later be the only one that does it. Because they come in and have Prime or Primal grab onto him and be like, all is one. Because he's like, good. The Maximal's meeting the actual Autobots, and he pulls them off. That's how it should have been, with no effort. The actual Transformer that is a freaking silverback gorilla holding him down. But anyway, that was the 2 moments where I'm like, guys, he is still a human.
Yeah, just because he's wearing armor doesn't mean he has, like, the strength of Optimus.
Yes, and, like, after a while, I see they showed tried having where he's clamping onto the ground. I'm like, cool. You made it look a little bit less stupid, but though him wearing the Transformer kind of bugged me. Where I was like, yeah, I'm still alive, but I can't be cool anymore. But it was what it was. But yeah, them again showing that they're kind of trapped there and actually showing that these characters are moving on, and they might have. I like that they're sort of making these movies anthologies in a way, where like it's Haley, and then you had Noah and Elena, and like she's a well-renowned freaking archaeologist now, and he might be in a crossover movie.
Oh, are we gonna say it now?
We might as well now. The fucking G.I. Joes get teased at the end of this film. How did that not get leaked by anyone?
Right? Like this could have been like 50 different Screen Rant articles, like, you know, whenever this movie had its like big premiere. But the fact that nobody talked, like I discovered like the scene organically as anyone would watching a movie without spoilers.
Yeah. Like, part of me thinks that the director knew about that, took the actor, took the guy who played the G.I. Joe representative, can't think of his name off the top of my head,
Michael Kelly,
and told those two at one time. They went into a room. He handed Michael Kelly a card. Here's your scene. If you talk about it, we shoot you. I kind of think that's what happened, because you can't tell me he just didn't walk into a room full of CGI after that. I very much think this was we told Tom Holland it was a wedding.
Yeah, that's like, it's not unheard of for actors to have the wool pulled over their eyes, like deliberately, for the effect of the audience.
Like, I'm in this theater with a bunch of grown adults, and like 3 seats down from me is a mom and her, like, I want to say 12-year-old kid. 10 probably max. And we're sitting there watching this movie, and I'm like, he's going to show some whatever about the organization that was looking into like the Autobots previously and all those other things. And like,
so you were assuming that they were going to do like Sector 7 or whatever.
Sector 7. Such the epic name that I forgot about it. But like, and he's talking about, he's like, by the way, here's like, whether you say yes or not, your little brother's taken care of. And no one that's going to talk about your bank balances. I was like, are we actually like putting good and heartfelt messages into Transformers movies now? I'm like, this is amazing. What is Noah getting for once that a Transformer protagonist normally doesn't get, because they get thrown back into a shithole every single movie? Because again, they feel they need to soft reboot them, because unless you're a dork and become a badass at the end, we can't have a Transformers movie. Like them actually being like, come and talk to us. And you're like, who are you from? The moment he flipped that card over and it said G.I. Joe, I had a neural response. Like, my body acted on my own, and I out loud said, fucking what? And then, like, I looked at the mom, and she looked at me, and she must have been, like, kind of smiled at me and understood that I was a kid, and was like, that was the coolest thing ever that just happened. And, like, they didn't care that I just swore in front of their child.
The second time I saw this movie, the people to my right had that exact same response.
Like, and the weird part is, I kind of knew they were doing this, because you saw that Hasbro has their own studio now. Like, they own Power Rangers. Everyone know they're not combining it with Transformers and G.I. Joe. God, don't, because that is a whole can of worms that you can't undo. That is a different planet. Keep them over there. I love them, and I want them having movies again. I'm still pissed that freaking series got canned. But they are just similar enough. They've done it before. They can do this.
Hold on. In May 2023, it was also announced Paramount was planning a crossover between Transformers and G.I. Joe.
That must have been very well not announced, because no one on the world that I talked with saw that, because no one mentioned it.
I'm pretty sure I saw that like announcement, but it was like it must have been one of those stories that was like buried in like a paragraph of like some bigger story.
Well, yeah, and then you get because obviously, like I said, Hasbro is having their own studio. They mentioned that they want to create their own world of movies. I was like, okay, so they're doing G.I. Joe X Transformers, which, hey, guess what? All the military in every Transformers movie up to this point was stupid. And you want to know what would have made it better?
I know
if it
we're
was
going with this.
actually G.I. Joe. You want to know what they're doing now? Having G.I. Joe being fucking Transformers films.
I was reading something earlier that like in very early drafts of the first Transformers movie, they were kind of playing with the idea of the military being G.I. Joe, but the producers at the time were like, you know what, maybe let's not. But now that the MCU has like popularized the idea of a shared universe, now they're being like, you know what? Okay, let's do it.
And this is like the only other one that I actually want to succeed. Like, boy, did I not give two craps about, we're going to make the Dark Universe cinematic universe. I'm like, what are you going to do? You're going to say in a newspaper that Frankenstein was spotted while you're talking about the Invisible Man? What is your actual plan? What's going to happen? You're not going to be like, oh no, we've got Moon Man coming and we need to team up the werewolf and freaking Dracula. Stop. This one actually kind of makes sense because G.I. Joe can get stupid. They did in Snake Eyes.
Yes.
Like, if you're going
now that's the question. If this is moving forward, do you have the actors from Snake Eyes reprise their role, or do you start from scratch?
I don't know what just happened. Okay, anyway, I think they're going to. I think they're going to. I kind of wish they would because I really liked who they had.
Same.
But they just need to get that stuff sorted out.
Yeah. I want to see. Okay, so we know a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover is happening, but
yeah,
aside from that, like the sky's the limit for, well, Hasbro, but specifically Transformers. Now that they've introduced the Maximals, Unicron is, well, he's Unicron. He's not going to go away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever the hell you want because, keep talking while I look up the exact day that Transformers was conceived.
You can introduce the Predacons because you showed you have Scorponok. A good chunk of me wants to see Waspinator, the freaking Predacons version of Starscream. You can do all sorts of things. You could introduce Black Arachnia. You could then have the weird mutated Fusors where they had some of them be good guys, some of them be bad, and they're just in pods on the freaking Maximal ship out in space. You could do all sorts of stuff with it.
By the way,
you can't just keep having Megatron.
Yes. Next year is when Transformers celebrates its 40th anniversary.
Yeah, they better have something. 40 years, my God.
They are definitely going to do something. And yes, next year is also the year that the animated prequel is supposed to be released. Whether or not that gets delayed is a story for another day.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. But yeah, they can do whatever they want, and I want them to. Like, if you're going to have someone, like you could have G.I. like Cobra that messes with a Transformer. You could do G.I. Joes and all. It's just, if you're going to have humans, I'm going to be less upset that if it's a freaking G.I. Joe member doing it because these people are ridiculous and should be in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you know that there's an old G.I. Joe Transformers crossover that took place in World War II?
Yep. It's proper stupid. and it's awesome. Oh my gosh. I was just like, if you're going to take advantage of it, hey, these are your properties you have, do it. And you know what they didn't do? Have 17 G.I. Joes walk out of the background. They're being careful. All they did was show that card.
Yep. That's all you need. Like the great thing about the very first Nick Fury, I mean, to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, like that was filmed for like a day, and Samuel Jackson just kind of like, he was flown in, did the scene, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm. And for everyone, because I know the comments are going to come up because I've already seen them, there is a difference between having military characters in your movie and having the entire movie be military propaganda.
Yep.
One did it one way, one did it another. Do you consider G.I. Joe movies military propaganda? No, because they're G.I. Joes. Bay went out of his way to have military be in everything the Transformers is involved of. If they're only ever in crossover films, that's a big difference. Because believe it or not, our military does not fight Cobra Commander. It's almost like they're a little different.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe can be more sci-fi and fantasy, yes, where the military is the military.
Exactly, as they should be. But yeah, it's exciting possibilities going around. And if it means we're actually going to get more Transformers movies and G.I. Joe movies that care more about being Transformers movies and G.I. Joe movies, I'm going to be happy. Because I like G.I. Joe. When the only problem I had was that the villain's plot didn't make any sense because he should not have lost. But yeah, just care about the movies when you make them. Don't try and set it up. And I think, honestly, that's why the G.I. Joe card was shown here. Because they kind of tried to solo film the G.I. Joe movies, which I don't think failed because they were trying to do it. I think it failed because they went, hey, let's try and do this quick. I hope that they're doing this as a way of going, we introduced it, see what the people think, and then go from there. I hope that is, because as far as I know, there's no talk of another G.I. Joe film being in the works.
Yeah, outside of this crossover, like as much as I enjoyed Snake Eyes minus the kind of bloat at the end.
Yeah.
The problem wasn't necessarily the cast or even the story. It's just things went wrong in execution.
They did. They very much did. We have a review on it. You can go listen to our thoughts there. It's in this exact playlist this will be showing up in. But yeah, I liked it a lot. Is it my favorite Transformers movie? It might be. I still really like that first one. Oh, do I still really like that first one? Other than Bumblebee unnecessarily lubricating on a man because ha 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 ha. It had the least amount of dumb Bayisms in it and actually had made me feel special about a Transformers movie watching it. And then it quickly went downhill from there because we had to be underneath the enemy scrotum. But yeah, it kind of felt more and more as they went along that they felt like they were doing chores making Transformers films. Like they felt actively upset they had to make another one and just put one together. This felt like they were making a plot out of a Transformers movie.
Yeah. Like I'm genuinely debating whether or not I like this or Bumblebee more, but having seen this twice now, I can say other than the 86 film, this is the best Transformers movie that we've seen so far.
It's up there. It's actually making the Transformers cool and have their own identities does a lot.
Yep.
Shockingly. And, getting different directors. I'm okay with switching the directors up. When you told me the guy who did Kubo and the Two Strings was doing Bumblebee, I went, excuse me? What? But, yeah. do more stuff like this. I'm excited. But all right, let's get on out of here before I have something else go wrong. All right, Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser, subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
You can find me everywhere at Organite Zero, mostly on Twitch and YouTube. As far as YouTube goes, our newest Fresh Takes will be starting up Monday. This should go up Friday. I will be continuing through Scars Above on Twitch. I might actually have a co-op stream with a friend of mine off Twitch that I made, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Come and see. Other than that, now that I know the release date of Spider-Man, I might start playing through the Spider-Man PS4 and Miles on Twitch, because I don't think any games other than Horizon just make me feel comfortable when I just pick up a controller and swing around New York like I do in those games. They're so good. Oh, they're so good. But all right, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you all later.
Peace.